Good evening, my name is Garrett, and welcome to The Last Call. On tonight's verses, we have Laphroaig Select coming in at a 40% ABV no age statement versus Laphroaig 10 coming in at a 43% ABV 10-year age statement. Now, I've done several Laphroaigs, and they'll be linked up above and down below when those are live, so you can enjoy those after this. But I've never really compared the two in such a way. And they're completely, especially the Select, is really different in its casking method versus a lot of their others. So we're going to be doing a nose, we're going to be doing taste, and then market pricing. So let's get into it. Now, the interesting thing here, and I always have to bring up the list. So this is actually a combination of American White Oak, Oloroso Sherry Butts, Hogshead seasoned with Pedro Jimenez, so sherry, and then quarter casks and first fill bourbon casks. The list is huge on this one, on everything they do. And it always surprises me on that list of things because it's like, that's a lot of things going on for a single bottle, especially for its price range. Now, of the family, we are Scotch drinkers. My wife has learned that she loves Scotch. She is the Laphroaig fan in the room. She doesn't mind. She likes Ardbeg and Lagavulin. I'm more the Ardbeg first, Lagavulin second. But Laphroaig, man, this is a bottle that really just demands attention because it's earned it. Wow, I can already tell a color difference in the two. The Select is so much more pale compared to the 10. Wow. Okay, well, let's go for notes on the Select. Oh. I love that. And even when you're getting into the smoky scotches, they all have that underlying similarities, but the noses are completely different. Here you are getting a bit of that sherry sweetness. It's there in the background, and I'm going for those first because the obvious things up front are Band-Aid, iodine. It's got almost that plasticky to it. That light smoke. And when I say light, like it's still fairly heavy smoke. But the smokiness is more like a smoldered out fire for me. Not like a freshly made fire, not like a put out fire, but one that is you put a whole bunch of wood on top of it and it's smoldering, trying to catch fire. So this big old plume of smoke is coming out. But there's this underlying sweetness in there of a dark from the sherry. You're getting a little bit of a vanilla in there. But it is so in the background, it is really hard to really say, oh, it's this specific fruit, or it's this thing very specific. A little saltiness in there as well. It is so complex for its bottling, and that's what I love about the Select. So, let's go for the 10. And here, you definitely don't have as much going on. You get the saltiness more. The smokiness is still there. The kind of that iodine Band-Aid quality is still there. The peatiness is there. But it's almost got this green seaweed quality from the saltiness. And, if you've had seaweed, like not necessarily fresh, but like from sushi restaurants and things like that, you get this fresh, it's such a different kind of green to it. A little sweet, but really not heavy-handed in the sweet. But nice, subtle flavors. You don't get that sherry cask. You don't get all those crazy casks like you do in the Select. And see, now I'm going back here. I'm getting more fruitiness, a little sweeter, like apples, almost a banana quality in there. Interesting. Okay, let's go for taste. It's a little thin on the taste, but what it brings to the party, you get this beautiful light oak, that sweet peat is dancing so well with it. You get a little bit of sweetness and you get this peaty earthiness, and they match up together at the same time. And they really, neither of them are fighting for first place. And that's what I love about that. And it ends very quickly. The dance started and it stopped. Somebody unplugged the power or something. Bit of that oakiness to it. That sweetness is coming through now from that sherry cask. You still get a bit of that fruitiness. The peat is definitely not as heavy. It's still there. That smokiness is turned more into a wisp of smoke. It's not quite as heavy, but it's still there. And when I say, the thing about these is it's not like, it's so hard to compare the two when it comes to taste, because I'm going to go smoky to smoky. But the smoky element to it is still there. When I say it's light, comparatively to other whiskeys, it's probably still fairly heavy, especially in the Islay categories. But the finish there, I love that little bit of that sherry sweetness that's left over. It's a little dry, but that sherry sweetness just gives you a nice little kiss of fruit at the end. Okay, let's go for the 10. And here you're getting a little more heavier peat. It's a little darker. It's coming out a little more earthy now. The smoky is definitely there. It coats the mouth so freaking well. It's this kind of, it is definitely, it almost takes your breath away. Still, even falling from the select, the earthy peatiness is just very dominating here. But you get a bit of sweetness in there. It doesn't hang around long though. The smoky, the iodine kind of texture going on there. The saltiness is still there. And it's got this just dark, almost bitter note to it. But it is in such a loving way. That peatiness just takes you for a ride that is unlike anything else. It coats the mouth, and it can be quite dry and bitter. But there's just something so satisfying about that, especially when you're craving that. There are days that I crave a smoky scotch. And all it takes is a small glass of it, and I'm happy as a clam. This is one that I always forget about, that I never grab for first. Always grab for Ardbeg 10 or Lagavulin 8. They're great bottles and ones that I love, but I always forget to grab for the 10 because I don't know why. It's always the bridesmaid, never the bride situation for me, I guess. But this has all the character that 10 years brings versus something that doesn't have an age statement, that goes through a lot of processes, is still good, but doesn't bring the fight. It brings the bark. And if you're just comparing noses, this has so much more character. And I think that's the interesting thing about the Select series. That casking process just brings so much character. Doesn't quite show up on the taste all the way, where the 10, it's more common, more simple on the nose, but boy, does it bring the flavors, and it brings flavors to punch you in the face. All right, let's talk about market pricing, because we all know market price is market price, and it's always going to vary. I can usually find this, not my market, however. I usually have to shop online, because Indiana they don't know what smoky scotches are. But I can usually find this right around the $50 to $55. I've seen some areas go a little higher than that online. Where the 10, I can kind of find around, usually in that $56 range, upwards to $60. I picked mine up on a misprint for pricing at $45. And honestly, I think they both can coexist under one big thing. And it's going to be your flavor profile. If you don't mind sweets and you don't mind that sherry cask, the Select does a great job. But being that they're both, if you found both of these on the shelf at $50, let's just say both of these are $50. They won't be because somebody's going to mark one of these up higher. I would pick the 10 over it any day of the week. Mainly because the age that this brings to the table is unlike the Select. It brings you those classic Islay notes. Where if you're, I guess, probably if you're coming from a different world, don't know quite which one it would be yet, but you're looking for an introduction without getting punched in the face, maybe you just want to slap in the face, the Select's a good option. But for pricing alone, the Laphroaig 10 is going to win every day in my heart versus the Select. So yeah, there you have it, Laphroaig Select and Laphroaig 10. If you have any questions about either bottle, let me know down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer it. And if you have any specific spirits I should put up against each other for a versus, let me know down below. I love doing these. It's fun. I learn a lot, and I get to share those experiences with you guys. And as always, may your last drink of the night be the best one.
You know, and I even like it might